Coming to you on some serious tape delay via a podcast near you. From that hockey hotbed of San Jose, California, it's Dudes on Hockey.
He is now accepting callers. He is calling me dude.
And now, your hosts, Mike and Doug.
Hey there, and welcome to the Dudes on Hockey podcast. I'm Mike, that's Doug.
Dude, we're trying something different tonight.
Dude, it's a little brighter in here.
I feel like the blind kid in Empire of the Sun. That Spielberg movie where he's standing out there in the sun. It's like, ah! Or like Bruce Willis in Armageddon as he's racing towards the asteroids going to take out the world.
Yeah. Is that the one with Steve Buscemi?
I don't know. I get them confused. You know, there was the Morgan Freeman catastrophe
Deep
movie.
Deep Impact.
Deep Impact, and then there was Armageddon.
Yeah.
So...
Well,
I hope you're glad you're getting this on video. This is a great start to the podcast.
What do you mean, dude? It's like all our other starts. Well, I don't know. My friend had this great idea to record us, dude. We have a YouTube channel, Dudes on Hockey.
Right.
And there's like 2 videos there from 3 years ago.
Right.
I think
when we were stuck in a blizzard in New York.
Yeah, the Blizzard videos there. I think there's one when they first invented cars. I think we were so long ago. No, so yeah, I don't know. We'll put the whole thing on YouTube. We'll see if people like it. If you like it, look for it on YouTube. I'll, of course, link to it on the blog and everything. And
this inspired me to get a haircut today.
You did get a haircut today for this?
Yes.
Wow, I wish I had that kind of foresight.
Well,
okay.
At this age, when the hair starts to get longer, it gets grayer and grayer. So I figured, try to look my best for the people.
Well, dude, I appreciate that. I'm wearing my vintage Shark shirt.
Whose side are you on? I'm wearing my...
Whose side are you on? Dude?
Ole Miss
basketball
T-shirt.
That doesn't really fit, dude. Ole Miss basketball.
You saying it's too small? Screw you, dude.
No, it doesn't fit the
That's
podcast.
the rudest thing.
It's a hockey show, dude.
You want to set up this adult video film shoot here during the podcast.
I know. That's great.
Are you going to play the music underneath? Hey, dude, is that a bag of pucks? Well,
so, dude,
speaking of pucks.
No, let's get to the real issue of the day, dude. Did you see the Downton Abbey? Downton Abbey season premiere, dude. Did you see it?
Let's speak of the Golden Globes, shall we?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Sharks, dude.
Okay.
Enough of this. Hogwash.
Yeah. This ballyhoo.
Sharks have played 6 games since we've last recorded, and it's shocking that they've gone 3-3.
That's shocking?
I'm being sarcastic
in
terms of the
Secondaros.
up and down play this year.
Up and down play of the Sharks? Wait a second.
We've got some good emails about this. We threw this out last time saying, are we too much of a downer?
Yeah. And
are we
have
glass half empty, dude?
Because the Sharks at that time had the 5th best record in the NHL, and the Sharks, and we're sitting here bitching about the Sharks not playing well.
I'm sorry. Out of the corner of my eye,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm looking at Sandra Bullock from Gravity right now, just sort of floating weightlessly in the corner. George Clooney's going to come save Chris at any moment.
This is just a good tie-in so people watch the video. It'll be so great. I can't wait till he trips. Whoa.
Whoa. Anyways,
Anyway,
dude, we have the Olympics to talk about. We have Logan Couture's hand injury to talk about.
Yep.
And we've got some emails, so I don't know. Where should we start?
Well, you started with the question, dude. Are we being downers? And
Okay.
Let's go to Paul, who says, yes, you are. His theory is that it stems from our inherent homerism. Being homers, we naturally overvalue our own players and team, usually leading us to a higher opinion of their play than we ought to have. I think you may be suffering from reverse homerism, where your homerism has gone so far that it has created such a high standard for your own team that anything they do just lets you down.
It's interesting. I mean, we got several tweets.
Paul the psychiatrist, apparently.
We got several tweets kind of supporting our attitude.
Yeah.
But I do think Paul has a point. Maybe we are just a little too sensitive to the ups and downs of the Sharkies. And when things aren't going great guns, that maybe we tend to overreact to.
But counterpoint, dude. We got an email from Sayor from Sweden who says, I think most Sharks fans feel this way. And frankly, the only reason they're doing this well is because they did so well early in the season. In December and January, at least at the time that Sayar wrote this, they're 5 wins, 7 losses, 1 shootout loss, and 3 shootout wins. So that, he says, I don't see how you could see that as something positive, especially when some of the losses in that period were against teams like the Islanders, Carolina, and Nashville. Dude, we're not overstating it now. We are exactly perfectly even keel.
I see both sides. I see both sides of the coin, dude. It's tough. I mean, and especially now with the Sharks' injury problems. Maybe this is a segue into...
At one point, they had... Well, before the Detroit game, they had 7 forwards out, I think. With Couture.
And some pretty significant people. You know, we're not talking about the Scrub-Olas. I mean, we're talking about arguably our best player, Logan Couture.
Right.
Although Team Canada would beg to differ.
I think, well, we'll talk about the Olympics in a second, but I think the reason they left him off the roster was because he was injured.
Sure. Steven Stamkos, Paul Martin.
Yeah.
They took injured guys. I don't.
That's true.
I think he didn't
Paul
make
Martin
the team.
is amazing.
Anyways, well, jump to that, but it's a little alarming. And actually, maybe if we're looking at glass half full, if we look at this week and see that they did beat Detroit, they spanked Detroit, and they beat the Blackhawks in Chicago, icing a bottom 6 forward group that consists of Uriah Hayes,
Right.
and John McCarthy and Mike Brown, and Desjardins playing 15 minutes, and Nieto's playing 18 minutes, dude. Who else? I mean, Bracken Kearns.
Bracken Kearns.
I mean, Bracken Kearns.
He can't play enough.
But he's playing like 13 minutes a night, dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
But he's good.
He's doing well. And I mean, and I like Bracken Kearns. I like his energy. You know, and I thought last year, based on his performance in the playoffs, that he deserved maybe a little bit more of a look-see in camp than he seemed to get. The Sharks seem to be seen enough of Freddie Hamilton, at least in the moment. They're rolling with some of these other guys, but how long can they keep this up with these 6 guys kind of manning the bottom 6?
Well,
I mean, they're going to be able to
hopefully
keep
not
this
that
up?
long. We heard Burrish is coming back in the lineup.
Oh, dude,
that's
come
our
on,
savior, dude. Adam Burrish.
Come on, dude.
But Torres.
I know, but Burrish and Torres are like thinking about maybe trying to play before the Olympic break, which is in early February. I mean, I guess that's a couple weeks away, but they're thinking about trying to play. Like, they're debating it. Is it better to play a couple games and then kind of test yourself out and get a break? Or, dude, I mean, let's be real. They're not playing before the Olympic break. This is the Sharks.
Yeah, it's true.
They don't do this.
No.
They're going to be 100.
Havlat's out.
Havlat's dead.
Essentially. To the
I mean,
Sharks,
he's basically just, he's done.
To the Sharks, he's done.
He's done. And
I mean, Kevin Kurz essentially said that they,
they would love if someone wanted to give them future considerations, they would take it.
Yeah, they would.
But they don't want to do a thing like the Panthers did with Versteeg, where they're going to have to eat half the salary for next year.
Right.
They'll just forget he's around, and
they'll
buy him out. They'll buy him out. He would have got bought out this offseason.
And Hurdle's hurt, so they don't even need the translator.
So the Sharks are without Hurdle and Couture. I mean, this is that's the most damaging thing.
And Torres.
Well, we haven't had Torres, period.
I know.
I mean, you're looking at maybe.
I hate how the Sharks play that intro clip at the beginning of every game, and they show like the montage of all the players, and they open with Torres, and I'm like, you're just rubbing it in. It's like, damn it, I would take him over like half the roster right now.
Oh well, sure. I mean, and James Shepard is the new McGinn. I mean, this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, how he is also basically off the team. I mean, they're playing Uriah Hayes over him, and Uriah Hayes, undrafted college player who wasn't really doing anything down in Worcester.
No.
And I give the kid credit. He's got energy. He doesn't make mistakes.
Yeah.
I mean, sort of in a Bracken Kearnsy kind of mold where there's a limit to their ability, but they don't make terrible mistakes, right?
Yeah. And it seemed like Shepard has made some really, really bad mistakes the last, few games he's played.
Well, he's a guy who has the pedigree of an elite talent level player, right?
Not
anymore.
anymore.
It's got to be hard for someone like that to adjust.
That's
he's
right.
a top first-round pick, and now he's, not able to.
Lucky to get in the lineup.
Yeah, he's done. Dude, why is Matt Tennyson here? Can you answer that?
I have no idea.
I guess maybe it's because Matt Irwin's hurt and they just want the extra guy around. I just think that's interesting.
Yeah.
I'd kind of thrown that.
I don't know how hurt Matt Irwin is. If he's
hurt enough that they had to.
He's not on the
have
IR,
Tennyson kind of hanging around.
I guess.
And maybe they're worried about.
Well, here's the question: is it bad to have Tennyson up here if he's not playing?
No, not if it's just for a couple days.
Yeah.
But, I'm probably reading something into nothing. It's because Irwin's hurt and they just don't want to be caught on a road trip without another guy. Why the heck not? Let's look at some of these games.
Okay.
The Edmonton win. Edmonton is
bad.
One of the worst.
Oh yeah.
Collection of players you've seen.
Oh yeah, they're terrible
in recent memory.
Oh yeah, they're just so. You put it great in a previous podcast. They're just so off balance. They're just so off balance. These guys. They have all these young hotshot forwards and nothing else. And it's just they go around out there and it's time to play defense and these guys just have no idea what they're doing. It's hilarious to watch. It's really funny.
And they haven't put themselves in a position to trade from an area of strength because the value on all these players is decreasing
because they're so bad.
On how terrible the team is. So
they've really managed to screw up like 4 number 1 overall picks. I don't know how you can do that, but
I don't even know if you can say that those guys are not good players. It's just that
they are good players.
That they haven't. They needed to trade one of those guys, and no one over there seems to be willing to make the tough decision.
Right.
And instead, they're just willing to let it get worse and worse, and another coach will get fired, and
then they're gonna trade for Mark Streit from the Flyers. And then they're going to, and then it's like Mark Streit's not going to help, and it's just going to get worse.
What about the Colorado game in Colorado?
Colorado's not terrible, but that's a team the Sharks should beat.
And that game was, Sharks were down big, and then came back.
Yeah.
So that game was a little bit worse than the score.
It was better and worse. It was worse because they got down big, but it was better because we've been really mad about how the Sharks sort of give up, and they made it a game. Like Dater was freaking out on Twitter. It was fun. It was really funny to read. He's like, "Here we go, Avalanche are going to throw another game away," And they almost tied it. They were down 4-0, and they almost tied. They almost came back.
On the flip side, in Chicago, the Sharks up 1-0, cough up 2 back-to-back goals in the third period, and they didn't quit at all.
Right.
Obviously, they win the game. Logan Couture apparently with one hand wins the game. Sure didn't seem hurt to me. It was shocking, the reports that he not only was going to be out, but needed surgery to repair his hand or wrist, or I'm not sure what it is, but Logan Couture out for an extended period of time, at least a month. This was a week back.
And the Sharks have a letdown game and just cough it up to Nashville with not a dissimilar situation from Colorado where they just sort of fall asleep at one point in the game, give up a couple goals, and can't make it back.
Right. And then come home.
And beat up on Detroit, which is really, let's be honest, not the Detroit of old. This team
they have 10 Olympians.
But they're having some problems.
But they have 10 Olympians.
Yeah, for Slovenia. Who cares?
No, I think
I don't think Slovenia
they have the entire Swedish team on their team.
Yeah. They got a lot
Detroit is exactly they're going to do exactly what they did last year, dude. They're going to be limping their way into the playoffs. They'll go in as like the wild card. And
they're going to lose in the first round.
Whoever wins the Metro, right?
Yeah.
Is going to be, so the Metro winner is going to be Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then the other winner will be Boston.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those teams is going to get Detroit, and it's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
That will be exactly the situation. They'll be looking to to sneak up on whoever it is like they did to Anaheim last year. But yeah, and no Datsuk, right? I mean, no Datsuk, but no Couture for the Sharks.
Right.
So maybe not exactly an even trade, but two really important players on the team. So the Sharks dominated that game. The Boston game, what do you think about that?
I thought the Sharks played really well in that game.
I
Boston is a tough team.
Yeah.
And Tuukka Rask played awesome.
That game felt like a triple overtime playoff game, the way it was just super tight.
Yeah. There was not a lot of trading chances, none
right.
of that. You know,
It was
a lot
pretty
of,
intense. They lost. You don't like seeing a loss, especially at home, but
and it was kind of, you know, a tough bounce, right? It was like a shot off a skate right to the other guy,
right.
open net
It's
kind
just
of thing.
Soderberg's just in the right spot
Yeah.
at the right time.
And Dan Boyle was right there.
I know, dude.
Okay, so here's something that we should talk about that I noticed Fear the Fin, I think, tweeted during the game. Dan Boyle essentially played third pairing in that game. Mm-hmm. He played with Scott Hannon. I don't think he played a single second of PK. He played some power play, but Dan Boyle, like, dropping here? I mean, I'm not saying he's, like, in danger of getting scratched or anything.
Well,
but what's the deal with our boy here? What's going on? I'm a little concerned.
How old is he, dude?
He's 37.
37.
Yeah.
And so Dan Boyle playing 16 minutes a night and specializing on the PK is a bad thing, especially as well as you've got Vlasic, you've got Braun. Demers is playing really well right now. And Brad Stewart's going to play the lion's share of the PK time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what is Boyle playing for?
He played
for that
17:58.
So, I mean, Dan Boyle used to play 22, 23 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be more worried if that was the case than him playing playing 18 minutes. I mean, that actually seems like they might be getting that right.
You think? I don't know. It just kind of it bums me out when they see like him, like always the third pair out there, and it's like him and Hannon, and then you see, you know, it's like Brad Stewart's getting more time. You know what I mean?
Well, but I don't know, dude.
Brad Stewart's playing 20 minutes. I mean, maybe this is like
right,
one
but it's
game.
a little deceiving if you look at. I mean, Brad Stewart played 3 minutes of PK time and 17 even strength minutes, and Dan Boyle played 16 minutes and 52 seconds of even strength minutes. 8 seconds more for Brad Stewart. 45 seconds more for, Justin Braun. I mean, it's not that far off. I think that we're overreacting.
Okay.
And Dan Boyle,
and he did tie for the most power play time.
Yeah, he
played a minute in power play time. There
he's
weren't that many power
playing the
plays.
role that at this stage of the season, you don't want Dan Boyle playing 23 minutes. I mean, he's not 34 anymore. I mean, and there's a big difference probably.
Yeah.
And we don't know what that injury has done to him.
No.
In terms of...
I'm still worried that there's something going on there.
No, there might be. And we'll never know until the season's over.
Yeah. When he has like...
I'm not worried about it. I mean, Dan Boyle seems to score a goal every 3 games.
Yeah.
I mean, like, he's still a productive player. And I think we should be more concerned if Boyle was playing 22 minutes. Like, that's not the situation the team should be in.
Okay, dude. Thanks for talking me down.
You're welcome, dude.
Okay, so
it's the cameras. Made me feel confident about myself.
Whoa.
Oh,
Wait,
we're gonna watch some highlights.
No, I don't
get
think
it together.
That's not gonna get on.
This
the podcast.
is not looking very professional.
And this is
Damn
different
it, dude.
normally from.
Damn it, dude!
That's not even gonna make it on the podcast. So, okay. So, do we want to talk about this Ducks email, or do we want to talk about the Olympics? Because there's a lot of Olympic stuff that we can talk about. Actually, let's talk to Mr. K here. After 3 games, were you disappointed? After the 3-game road trip, were you disappointed or happy? My expectations going in with 3 points, but does the victory over Chicago surpass losses to Colorado and Nashville, dude?
I think that road trip made me disappointed just because of the Couture injury. Like, I mean, that's all I can think about in terms of that road trip.
Right.
But
I can't think about that road trip in and of itself because now I know that they beat the hell out of Detroit and they play well against Boston, so I'm not that upset about the road trip because I have that extra context. I mean, at the time, I'm not happy they lose to Nashville. Nashville's not any good.
You don't like to see that, and the Sharks have been doing that this year.
Yeah,
They've
they're
been
leaving
dropping
points
They've
on
been
the table.
dropping games to bad teams, and this road trip might be especially tricky in that regard. I mean, they're going to Washington, which Washington is not very good.
No.
I mean, I watched them lose to Buffalo the other night in the shootout. I mean, they have goaltending problems. They give up fat rebounds. I mean, this is an opportunity for the Sharks if they play aggressive. They should beat Washington, and Florida's terrible. I mean, they're like the second worst scoring team in the league.
Yeah.
Terrible. And they should beat both those teams. I would not be shocked if they lost to one of them, just based on how it's going, you know?
Yeah. They could lose it.
Glass half empty again.
Here we go again, dude. Dude, do we want to talk about the Ducks and all these stats that I compiled?
Sure.
Which is really going to put
Let's do that.
the listeners to sleep, or do we want to talk about the Olympics?
Let's do that.
What, put the listeners to sleep?
Let's do that.
It's always worked for us before.
Let's do that.
All right, so Hank says, dudes, can you please break down the Anaheim Ducks and explain how they are the best team in the world right now? I honestly do not understand it. And I know you guys have never believed they're for real, but they've won the last 17 of 18 or something like that, and their offense looks unstoppable. Is it simply because Getzlaf and Perry are two of the best forwards in the game right now? Educate us. Well, I put way too much time into this question because we've talked about this numerous times this season. I still don't quite understand it, but now I feel like after looking at a bunch of different things, I have a little bit more context for this. But I know you did some work on this too, dude. So
you go first.
You go first because I'm going to be really annoying and long-winded, so I might as well do that at the end
Well,
and get the interesting stuff first.
The thing I wanted to look at is how are the Ducks against Western Conference playoff teams?
Okay.
And
That's good. I didn't pull that.
And I looked at it, how the Sharks are against Western Conference playoff teams. Same thing. Sharks have played 17 games against current Western Conference playoff teams. Ducks have played 11. So if you think about that, the Ducks' strength of schedule has been significantly weaker. Right now, Ducks are 7-4. Sharks are 10-7. So not that far off. I mean, the win percentage is higher for the Ducks. I mean, they're playing better than the Sharks. But the Sharks have played 6 games against tougher competition, whereas the Ducks, if you look at their schedule, I mean, they have, I think, exhausted all their games against teams like Calgary, Dallas. They've played Phoenix. I feel like every other game they play Phoenix. They've seen a lot of Edmonton. You know what I mean? Like they've played some weaker teams. So I'll be curious to see what happens when the Ducks' schedule gets a little tougher.
Okay.
So I know the numbers don't lie, and I mean we saw what they did to us in the last game when we went to Anaheim. I mean they killed us, and you know they're obviously a good team, but I don't know what you're going to be able to say to convince me that they're the favorites to win the Stanley Cup.
I'm not going to say that.
Okay.
I'm not going to say that. So for one thing, Hank, you're absolutely right. Perry and Getzlaf are having monster friggin' years, okay? And you can't really underestimate that. Those guys are kicking ass, okay? Perry's got 49 points in 48 games, and Getzlaf has 53 points in 44 games. Both of those guys have over 20 goals already. They're going to score 40 goals and have 80 to 90 points. You have two guys on the same line that do that. They're going to destroy you if you can't match up. And you know, they've scored against the Sharks, although not at an amazing clip. But they're also getting contributions. Their next two leading scorers are Nick Bonino and Andrew Cogliano. Okay, so these are two guys we never expected to do that well for the Ducks. We would normally expect like the Solani Koivu thing to happen, and they're not doing terrible, but they're not doing that great. So they're getting chip-in contributions from these guys that you wouldn't normally expect. So that's on the plus side. Here's the flip side. Ducks are incredibly lucky this year. The Ducks are 18-1-5 in one-goal games. Now, in most people in other sports, especially the baseball guys, will talk about one-goal game record almost always regresses to about 500. It's just there's no consistent ability to win one-goal games. It's just more or less a coin flip. So the Ducks are kicking ass at one-goal games, which is unsustainable, essentially. The Ducks are 12th in Team Fenwick, which is a possession stat. They're 15th in the league in Corsi, which is another possession stat. These are both 5-on-5 numbers. But the Ducks have the best scoring percentage of any team at 5-on-5. So the Ducks are scoring an amazing amount of goals at 5-on-5 without having the puck very much. And one of the reasons is they're the top in the league in PDO, which means they're the sum of their save percentage and shooting percentage. So the Ducks are shooting at a unsustainably high shooting percentage, and they're saving pucks at an unsustainably high rate. So the Ducks are actually very, very lucky, especially at 5-on-5, and they're destroying people at 5-on-5. So that's the reason, because their power play is 22nd and their penalty kill is 15th. They're not actually that good at the stuff that you want teams to be really good at. So look at for instance, in the 1-goal game category where they're leading the league by a huge amount. The last 5 years, the teams that have led the league in that category were Pittsburgh last year, disappointing. Tampa Bay the year before that. Anaheim, do we even remember what they did 3 years ago? Phoenix the year before that, and the Devils the year before that. These aren't world beaters here. These are basically teams that sort of regress. Or it's sort of a crapshoot. So are the Ducks playing well right now? Yes, they're winning a lot of games right now. I'm still holding by. I don't think they're going to go very far in the playoffs. I'm still holding to that. In the playoffs, I don't think this stuff is going to matter. They can't win 80% of the 1-goal games in the playoffs. It's just not going to happen, especially when they have to play, even a pretty good playoff team. They're not going to obviously play Chicago in the first round if they keep going the way they're going. But in the second round, they're going to be playing a pretty good team if they manage to get through. And I don't think this kind of stuff they're middle of the pack in almost everything, possession stats and everything else. So, Hank, I'm sticking by it. I'm going to be wrong all the way till the end of the season on the Ducks. I think they're good, but they're lucky and good.
They're going to be the winners of the Pacific unless something goes wrrong. I mean,
Way
they're
wrong,
pretty far out in front, and they're going to have to slip up pretty badly. But I think you're right. I mean, I don't mean hearing those stats, it sounds like a convincing argument to me, dude, just based on gut feeling when you watch that team and go, they are a good team. They are not an elite team, and I don't think that they can get that far.
Right.
So
people made such a big deal about Toronto because Toronto was playing so well, but all their possession stats were crappy, like last year or the year before, and everyone expected them to regress. And they're like,
and
no!
they did.
And they did. And they did, right? So I think the Ducks aren't quite as much of a mirage as the Maple Leafs were, but I don't think they're not better than Chicago, and they're not better than St. Louis, although St. Louis is actually pretty lucky as well, actually, this year. St. Louis might be one of the luckier teams in the league as well. So that's
not against the Sharks.
That's right.
Unlucky.
So, dude, really the big news, outside of the world of the Sharks, which is certainly the purview of this podcast, has been the Olympics. Canada has basically been salivating over this roster for the past month and a half. And the U.S. roster was announced on New Year's Day, and I think we missed it when we recorded last. Right?
Yeah, I think we were off by like an hour or something. Yeah,
we were like an hour.
short. Joe Pavelski makes a team that was probably one of the easiest picks that they have. Pavelski's already got 20 goals this year and appears to be very comfortable, playing with Jumbo and Burns. And it'll be interesting when everybody gets healthy what the heck happens there. But Pavs being on the Olympic team, not a shock at all.
So, obviously a lot of controversy with Team Canada because, this is something that kind of blew my mind. I think the day that they announced the Canadian team, or the night before, they posted some videos with Brett Hedican and Jamie Baker predicting which Sharks would make it. And I think Jamie Baker said there was like an 80 to 90% chance that Joe Thornton was going to be on the team, which I thought was ridiculous. I thought he was an outside chance to make the team, and in fact, he didn't make the team. And so what do you think about Canada's picks? Vlasic made the team, which I guess we sort of saw coming, but some might still see as a surprise. And Patrick Marleau made the team.
Well, their whole take on it, and USA's take on it too, is that they're trying to put together the best team and not necessarily take the best players. So, Vlasic is one of the best at doing what he does. He's a rock-steady, stay-at-home defenseman that doesn't make a lot of mistakes and can play against some of the best elite forwards in the league and not be intimidated. And he's more physical now, and he's a great player. So I'm not surprised by them taking him. And I think Marleau benefited from Couture possibly getting hurt. I don't know. We'll never know the story behind that, or maybe it'll leak out. But Marleau going, probably him getting picked over some of the other players has a lot to do with his penalty killing ability.
Right.
He can play special teams. He can play both ends of special teams.
Yeah.
So, you look at something like that. I mean, you could play Bergeron and Marleau together on a kill. I mean, that's pretty going to be pretty hard for people to deal with. So he has that over Jumbo, the ability to play the wing, and center on the kill.
I mean, as Americans, we kind of want Canada to be as weak as possible. Do you think Canada made a mistake in not taking Thornton? It's kind of.
I mean, we talked about that, in terms of how deep they are down the middle, and do I think they made a mistake? You can't say that.
I think they did, because they got a lot of goal scorers, and they don't have one guy that can distribute the way Joe Thornton can distribute.
Yeah.
You get a bunch of guys who can score goals. You need somebody to get on the puck. Joe Thornton's never going to shoot, right? I think they actually left something on the table by not taking him, but that's to the U.S.'s benefit, so that's okay with me. And it's to the Sharks' benefit.
I'm glad. I think you hit on that right there. I'm glad that Boyle's not going. I'm glad that Jumbo's not going. I'm glad Couture's not on the team right now. I think that's going to be better for the Sharks, who we looked at, compared to other teams. They've got 4 guys going. St. Louis has 10.
Right.
The Blackhawks have 10. That's a lot of guys going over and playing extra games. I mean, so some of the Sharks' best players, the Ducks have 7.
Mm-hmm.
Red Wings have 10. Kings have 6. Some of the Sharks' best players are going to be home, relaxing instead of logging extra games and risking injury. So, I mean, Vlasic and Marleau, congratulations to them. Antti Niemi, be interesting to see. Is he going to play?
I think Rask has got to be the number 1
So,
at this point.
I mean, Niemi maybe will play a game or two, depending on, who they play, but he's not going to be the guy.
Right.
And Pavelski's going to play a lot of minutes for USA. So that'll be fun for us as USA fans to see.
It's going to be an
Pavelski.
awesome tournament. I'm already looking forward to these games.
Yeah.
These games are going to be great.
So,
do you not care?
I do.
You don't look excited.
No, I do care, dude. I mean, I honestly, I care more about the NHL outcome than I do about this. And I had a hard time. I mean, and we talked about this 4 years ago, where I had a hard time when, Canada won, and it was Marleau and Thornton and Boyle. And I mean, I was like, Grumpersons. And I was like, good for you guys. You're just sort of like torn about it. It's fun. I mean, it's like watching the World Cup. I mean, it's entertaining. You just hope nobody gets hurt.
Right. And these games are going to be great. I'm really looking forward to these games. Actually, I'm super excited about it because right now it's sort of the doldrums of the season a little bit. It's like some of these games. I'm like, like the NHL games. I'm like,
you can't get up for Florida this week.
I'm going to be able to sleep the night before. Let's just put it that way. You know what I mean? But I had an awesome experience watching U.S. versus Canada in the gold medal game last Olympics. I mean, that's something I'm going to remember for a long time. I was in a bar, the late goals, the overtime downer, that was a terrible disappointment, but still, that was one of the better hockey games I've ever seen. I don't know if that could be replicated, but that was pretty awesome. I'm very excited to see those kinds of games again.
It'll be interesting because of the games being in Russia, seeing what kind of impact that has on both the North American teams, maybe wouldn't be too surprising if neither of them were playing in the gold medal game. Possible.
Sweden looks pretty good.
Sweden and Russia, Russia playing in Russia. They could choke large, or they could win the whole damn thing. So,
right.
A lot of that probably hinges on Datsuk's health, which is a question mark right now. He hasn't really been able to be in the lineup regularly. So,
yeah,
we'll see. We'll certainly be watching, dude. We'll be watching. It's an opportunity for the Sharks, once the tournament is over, with just a small amount of guys, over there to kind of come out. If Burrish is back, if Torres is back, they maybe make another trade to bring in, an energy guy. This is something that Kevin Kurz wrote about this week, talking about, pulling a trade on a winger, dude.
You got a crazy trade, dude?
I got a crazy trade.
Should I play it?
Yep, play it.
I'm going off the rails on a
Crazy trade. All right, dude, what you got?
Dude, I've got several. All right.
Several?
Well, I've just got a couple things I want to throw out, dude, and I'll see what you think about this.
Carcillo?
I think that Kurz makes a good point. The Sharks have 2 second-round picks next year. There's a 0% chance they keep both of those.
Okay.
Right? They're going to use one of those to bring in a guy.
Okay.
They'll bring in a guy. Now, I haven't looked at Cap Geek. I don't know how it all works. If another player has to be involved, I don't know. I'm throwing out names to you right now of guys who are unrestricted free agents who could possibly be fits, and some of them are pretty funny.
Okay.
All right?
Okay. Don't say Sean Bergenheim.
No.
Okay.
No, dude. No. I don't think Sean Bergenheim's an unrestricted free agent.
Okay. That's true. He signed like a
I'm gonna throw out
12-year deal.
names. I'm going to throw out names.
Okay.
Marcel Gotch.
Okay. I'm not.
Okay. All right.
Not
okay.
excited.
Okay. Vernon Fiddler.
I like Vernon Fiddler. I'm not sure how the last couple years have treated him, but at one point he was a very annoying and good player to play against. I like Vernon Fiddler. Okay.
Devin Setaguchi.
Really?
I'm not saying
They'd
yes
give him
or
away
no.
for nothing. Like case of Gatorade, they take him. They take. I mean, he's in the doghouse. Do we really need another guy? Do we need another Havlat?
I'm saying, look at the history of last year's trades, dude. The Sharks brought back Scott Hannon. I don't think it's impossible that they would take a guy who did really well around these guys and bring him back. That's why I'll throw in another one.
Okay.
Milan Mahalik.
Sens would never trade him.
Yes, they would. He's been terrible there. He's like a -20, dude. He's terrible.
So's
there.
everybody on that team.
I know. Well, I think they're done. He's in a contract year. They're going to keep him.
Maybe
They're not going to keep him. You get a second for him. I don't even know if he's worth it. I'm throwing out names. I'm saying,
Okay.
at this point, if the Sharks could add Mahalik or Seto, bring him back, and you see if you can recapture some of the magic. I've got a better name.
Only unless you think those guys can play third line, because the third line's going to get first two lines are going to get busy.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying this is a solution, dude. I'm throwing out fun names. This is the one that I want. All right.
Okay.
And we've gone to the mat before for players, and this is the one I'm going to the mat for.
Scott Arnold. Please say Scott Arnold.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Dave Boland.
Come on.
I'm going to the mat.
There's no way we can get Dave Boland.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do I mean?
They're going to the toilet. They're talking about firing Randy Carlyle. The leaves are in the dumper, dude.
But Dave Boland's a good player.
I know.
He's like one of the few they have.
I know. He's unrestricted free agent.
Wow. I love Dave Boland.
Dave Boland, dude, because Pavelski's playing top 6.
I know.
That solved the problem. Dude, get on board.
Dave Boland, dude.
Go to the mat.
Dave Boland.
Go to the mat. Dude, we've always got what we ask for.
We do?
We do. Who have we won in the past? Brian Campbell. We got him.
Yeah, that's true.
Manny Malhotra. We got him.
Yeah.
Ravi Torres. We got him.
We get everybody.
Dave Boland. We got him. It's on camera. We're getting him. It's happening. We called it. It's doing it now.
Dave Boland. That would be great.
Do it live.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Do it live.
Yeah. Be better than Alan McCauley.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, a lot of things would have to go the Sharks' way for this to happen. In terms of Leafs would have to tank it bad, which is not
Out of question.
And, Boland's been out hurt. He'd have to be healthy. And the price would have to be right.
Mm-hmm.
But if you could get a player like that, who Doug Wilson loves that guy.
Oh, yeah.
There's got to be no way that he doesn't.
I think he's personally mentioned Dave Boland a few times after we play the Blackhawks in the playoffs.
And when he went on the block, you got to know that Doug Wilson made an offer.
Sure.
Come on. There's no way Chicago's going to give him to us.
Oh, yeah. That would never happen.
Toronto gave them 2 seconds and a fourth, all right, for a full year of Dave Boland. It hasn't worked out. So
maybe a second.
And and they might need to do a second and something. But I don't know, dude. If he's healthy and they can get him and bring him into the team and then freaking keep him once Havlat gets bought out.
Right.
Once you get him here, once you bring him into the house, you lock the
leave.
door and you don't let him go. Dude.
That's right.
That's who I want. That's who I want, dude. I'm sticking to it, dude.
Nice, dude.
It's going to happen.
I like your crazy trade.
Okay. All right.
Well, dude, I think this was a good show, interesting show with the recording and all and the whole thing. It's going to be on YouTube, so check us out there. I'll link to it. And, I know it's been a little long. Some people
Wait, were we supposed to
Oh, yeah, we did.
sync the audio?
Yeah, sync the audio. Like 48 minutes in, we're going to do this now.
I half expect your lights to turn off.
The
We're in the
clapper.
dark.
So, yeah, I mean, people are getting a little antsy. So I hope this little treat for them will placate
Sorry for the delay. Life happens.
Yeah.
And
you and your job and young children.
We got a Vegas trip coming up, dude.
I know.
Very
Very excited about that.
So we're getting ready to go to Vegas. We'll be, I'm
'Cause
sure,
I'm-
tweeting our betting picks live
Yeah.
from the Legacy's stadium,
And I'll be paying for Vegas,
That's
of
right.
course.
as is the tradition, dude. I'd like to thank Sandra Bullock for filming today. Thank you, Sandy. You were great in The Blind Side.
Yeah.
Really thought you were great.
You did?
She won the Academy Award,
I
dude.
don't think she was that good.
Dude.
I liked her much better in Miss Congeniality, too.
I'm a big fan of her in Speed. Stop the bus.
This can't go below 55. I gotta stop. I gotta stop the podcast. We're done.
Dude, no, let's talk about Ronin 47.
Hate the show? Want to get your questions on the air? Email questions at dudesonhockey.com. Dudes on Hockey is not affiliated with the San Jose Sharks organization or the National Hockey League.